This story happened around 5 years ago in the Philippines, specifically in UST. It was exactly around 2 p.m. when the student felt that she needed to go to the comfort room. Everything seemed normal, not until she heard a disturbing noise. It was a noise of a girl who was sobbing. The noise came exactly from the next cubicle, where the student was currently sitting. Out of curiosity, she immediately gets out of her cubicle. However, after checking, all the cubicle doors were all open, which signifies that there were no other people there aside from her. And as soon she turned her face towards the said cubicle, her eyes immediately noticed blood flowing on the feet of a student girl wearing the same uniform as her. Due to fear, she immediately runs to her friends, and they check back the said comfort room. However, upon checking, not even a single drop of blood was seen on the said cubicle, and starting from that day, the story of a sobbing student arises in the main building of UST. This story happened in Manila, Philippines. It was already around 8 p.m. when the water supply was suddenly cut off. Due to this, Sam was asked by his mother to get water from their well in the backyard. While getting some water, he saw neighbor's grandma watering their garden, so he shouted that there was no supply of water. Upon returning to the house, his mother asked him to whom he is talking to, and Sam replied that it was neighbor's grandma. Due to shock, his mother immediately responded, "But our neighbors were all went to their province for their grandma's burial." But Sam insists that he actually saw neighbor's grandma, so both of them went to the backyard. However, there was not a single person in the neighbor's garden. But what shocked them was that the neighbor's hose was lying over the plants as if it was used few minutes ago. And at that moment, both of them realized that what Sam saw was their neighbor's soul. This story happened on April 25, 1973 in Enfield, Illinois. It was around midnight when Henry McDaniel heard a scratching sound towards their door. Initially, he thought it was a bear, so he picked up his gun just in case it was needed. However, upon checking, it was a three-legged creepy monster with two short arms and pink glowing eyes. Due to fear he felt, he immediately drew his gun and shot the creature. Upon hitting, the creature immediately ran. And what shocked Henry was that it reached the roof of a tall establishment in just 3 consecutive jumps. After that, he immediately calls the police and explains his creepy encounter with the three-legged monster. However, upon searching through the area, there's no single evidence found by the police. 2 weeks later, Henry once again encounters the three-legged monster near the train tracks on his way home. This time, reporters and police joined together to search if the monster was true or just a hoax. But what they don't expect is that they will encounter it face to face, and the police immediately fire a shot. And what happened next really made them freeze. The monster shouted as it was crying due to pain. And reporters even described it as the scariest sound they ever heard. And after that, the monster was never been seen again until today. This story happened during a field trip around 7 years ago, specifically in Baguio, Philippines. During the field trip, all students kept on enjoying their time with their friends, taking pictures and eating together. It was a very lovely day for everyone. Upon returning to their rooms, they all checked the photos they took during the field trip. It was at that moment when they realized that 2 students didn't have their heads on all the pictures they had taken. Due to fear, they report the pictures to their teachers. The field trip passed through and all returned to their homes safely. However, a few days after the field trip, a very shocking news arise in the same class. The 2 students without a head in the picture got in an accident, wherein they were both severely injured. And on that same day, they witnessed the curse of the headless photo. This story happened during a field trip years ago, specifically in teachers' camp in Baguio, Philippines. During field trip, boys and girls have separate rooms, while the boys have 2 rooms due to the bigger count. During the night, Student L was beside Student C, and they were chatting before they fell asleep. In the middle of the night, Student C went to the comfort room and coincidentally met other students sleeping in the next room, so he went there instead of going back to his room. At the same time, Student C suddenly woke up due to a movement sound coming from the bed, where Student L initially slept. Due to that, Student C could not sleep, so instead he kept on talking with the person sleeping on the next bed beside him, thinking it was Student L. Night passed by, and in the morning, Student C asked Student L, why is he not responding last night while he was telling stories? And then Student L replied to him that he slept in the next room during the night, and the fear raised to both of them as they were thinking, who's the person sleeping next to Student C that night? This story happened in Baguio around 10 years ago. The couple was driving on their way home talking to each other. Everything seems normal, not until they enter a long road, specifically near Camp John Hay, wherein there's barely any light on the road. So the silence between the couple starts due to the creepy feeling they felt upon entering the dark road. Then suddenly, the boyfriend who drives the car immediately reached the rosary and started praying with a very loud voice. The girlfriend panicked and continuously asking her boyfriend what was wrong, but the boyfriend kept on praying, neglecting the girlfriend's reaction. Few minutes passed by and the bright lamps finally appeared on the next road. Then the boyfriend slowly spoke and said, "I saw a hanging woman's body on the tree." This story happened to a group of instructors who went on vacation on Baguio 7 years ago. Upon arrival, they just left their baggage in their transient and then went on their travel plan. However, one of the instructors accidentally left his phone in the transient house. During their travel, they split into groups, and during meetup, one group was late, so the organizer kept on calling the instructor's phone. However, it was the instructor who accidentally left his phone in the transient house. Later, the last group arrived to meetup place, and the organizer asked the instructor why he was not answering the phone, and the instructor replied that he accidentally left it at the transient, and made a joke that it was set on a maximum volume ringtone that might disturb the neighborhood. Everything went well on their vacation, not until the time when they will go home. While traveling on their way home, the instructor who left his phone previously started having a headache and vomiting. Then suddenly he shouted, "We disturbed them, now they followed us." Few seconds after that, their van started swerving and they almost fell to the cliff. This story happened 7 years ago, specifically at San Sebastian College, Recoletos de Cavite in the Philippines. It was lunchtime, when all students were asked to gather in the cafeteria. However, due to curiosity, one student from grade 7, where his room was located at the 4th floor of the building, tended to disobey and instead, he explored the whole building alone. Upon reaching the 2nd floor, he continuously walked until he noticed a human-like shape standing inside a classroom. Due to curiosity, he came closer and looked at the classroom. Upon closer look, it was a girl with long black hair and normal looking face, but with a very, very pale color. As he looked down to check the girl's outfit, he noticed that the lower half of the girl was covered with blood. Upon looking lower, he saw her feet not touching ground. Due to fear, he immediately closed his eyes and ran towards the stairs. The story reached their room teacher, and she even recalled that there's actually a story of a girl who died in that room. This story happened years ago, specifically in the Philippines. It was around 2 p.m. when a batch of 2nd grade students were in their computer laboratory room. However, one student forgot to bring her notebook, so she went back to their classroom. Before entering the room, she saw her classmate going inside before her. Due to excitement, she ran and shouted, "You forgot your notebook too!" However, even before entering the room, she already saw that there was no light, and the door was also closed. Upon entering the room, she spoke again and said, "Where are you?" But still no one answered her. Upon returning to the computer laboratory room, she asked her classmate, "Did you go to our room? I saw you, yet you didn't respond." But the classmate responded, "I never go to our classroom," and the creepy feeling started to rise in both of them. A few days passed, and the classmate died due to terminal illness. This story happened years ago during night camp for Boy Scout event in the Philippines. During the night, a group of students played a dare game, and one of the students was tasked to go alone to the 3rd floor of the building. It was so dark that the silence and darkness created a creepy ambience for the student. As he climbed up, everything was normal, with no creepy sightings or any abnormal occurrences. Upon reaching the top, he waved his hands towards his fellow students waiting for him on the ground. What shocked him was that they had no reaction, and their face all looked scared. So he went back to them and asked, "What happened to you guys?" Then his friends responded, "There's a woman behind you on the 3rd floor." This story happened years ago in a Catholic school in the Philippines. It was around 3 p.m. when there was sudden noise heard outside every classroom. It was a girl who was being chased by CAT members and the school guard. The girl was just a small high school student, but still, 5 guys could not stop her. Upon catching her, they brought her to the clinic. What shocked the students was that there was a priest coming few minutes after that commotion. What the CAT members and student council saw was a girl bending her body all over the place, eyes turning black, vomiting black liquid, while speaking unknown languages. They all prayed together while looking at the students doing creepy things. Once the girl returned to its consciousness, she immediately told the story of how it all started. I saw a girl wearing a red dress with full black eyes. This story happened years ago in one of the public schools in the Philippines. Everything seemed normal while every parent and teacher was cleaning the classrooms. Eventually, the 6-year-old daughter of one of the parents needed to go to the restroom, and her mother allowed her to go alone. A few minutes later, they heard a loud shout from the little girl while punching the door. Before they even reached the restroom, the 6-year-old girl fell from the window of the restroom from the 3rd floor. Luckily, there are newly cleaned chairs and desks in the area where she fell, which lessens the injury she might possibly experience if she fell directly to the ground. What the teachers and parents couldn't understand was that the window was too high for the girl, and there was no chair inside that restroom that was high enough for her to climb. Upon asking the poor little girl, she said, "There's a big shadow and it lifts me up and throws me out from the window."